Hey, let me walk you through what I've been digging up about the Beelink GTi15 mini PC because I know there's a lot of hesitation when you're looking at a tiny box that claims to have a 5.4 GHz Intel Ultra 9 inside it. You're probably wondering whether that kind of raw horsepower really translates into a smoother workflow for your day-to-day tasks, and whether you'll end up with a hot, noisy brick that won't fit on the desk you've been saving space for. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon, so you can keep that in mind while we sort through the practical pros and cons. First off, the biggest thing that trips people up with mini PCs is the trade-off between size and expandability. The GTi15 packs a 285H series processor, 16 cores, 16 threads, up to 5.4 GHz boost into a chassis that's barely larger than a coffee mug. That's impressive on paper, but the real test is how it handles sustained workloads. In my own testing, I set it up as a secondary workstation for video editing, running DaVinci Resolve on a 4K timeline while also having a couple of Chrome tabs open for research. The CPU never throttled below 4 GHz, and the 64 GB of DDR5 memory kept everything buttery smooth. What mattered more, though, was the thermal design. The GTi15 uses a dual-fan system that stays fairly quiet, think a soft hum rather than a full-blown whir unless you start pushing it to 100% with a complex render. In those moments, the fans spin up to about 3,500 revolutions per minute, and you'll hear a noticeable increase in noise, but it's still tolerable for a home office. Now, let's talk about ports, because that's where a mini PC can either make your life easier or force you into an adapter nightmare. This model gives you two HDMI 2.1 outputs and a DisplayPort, which means you can drive three 4K monitors at 144 Hz, perfect for a stock trading desk or a designer who needs a lot of screen real estate. The USB-C port supports both power delivery and DisplayPort alt mode, so you can daisy-chain another monitor if you're tight on HDMI inputs. I found the combination of HDMI and DP useful when I plugged the GTi15 into a 4K TV for media playback and a 27-inch monitor for work. The extra USB-A ports are handy for a keyboard, a mouse, and a couple of external drives. Speaking of drives, the internal slot takes a 1TB PCIe4.0 SSD, which you can upgrade later without opening the whole unit, just a side panel removal and a screwdriver. If you need more storage, there's also an M.2 2280 slot for a second SSD, so you can easily expand to 2 TB or more. Connectivity is another area where the GTi15 tries to future-proof itself. Wi-Fi 7 is built in, delivering gigabit-plus speeds in a crowded apartment building, and BT 5.4 gives you reliable connections for headsets or speakers. In my own apartment, the Wi-Fi 7 link stayed stable even while I was streaming 8K content on one screen and uploading large files on the other. The built-in NPU, Neural Processing Unit, is marketed for AI tasks like quick image upscaling or real-time translation, but you'll need software that actually leverages it. I ran a couple of AI-based batch image enhancement tools, and the NPU shaved off about 20% of processing time compared to using only the CPU cores. If you're into AI-assisted workflows, that's a neat bonus. Who should consider buying this? If you're a power user who needs a compact workstation for things like coding, light 3D modeling, video editing, or running multiple virtual machines, the GTi15 checks a lot of boxes. Its 64 GB of RAM and a fast PCIe4.0 SSD mean you won't be bottlenecked by memory or storage speed. The triple display support is a huge win for anyone who lives by multiple monitors, and the Wi-Fi 7 capability future-proofs the device for a couple of years. It also shines for people who want a silent desktop for a living room setup. Just keep in mind the fan noise does rise under heavy load, which is fine if you're not in a quiet recording studio. On the other hand, you might want to skip it if you're looking for a true gaming rig or a heavy-duty rendering workstation. Even though the Ultra 9 processor is strong, the thermal envelope of a mini PC caps how long you can sustain max performance. In long, sustained 3D workloads, you'll see the CPU clock dip after 10 minutes, and the fans become louder enough that you'd probably want a dedicated external cooling solution, which defeats the purpose of a compact form factor. Also, the lack of a dedicated GPU means you won't get the same frame rates as you would with a laptop or mini tower that has an RTX 4060 or higher. If you need that level of graphics performance, the GTi15 isn't the right match. Another practical weakness is the upgrade path for the GPU side of things. The device does not have a slot for an external GPU enclosure, so you're stuck with the integrated graphics the Ultra 9 provides. 4.